This was something that actually was talked about last summer, last fall, even before the election, and there was a commitment in our platform about minimum wage. Quite frankly, we see the need to get on par with the recommendations, and there is a committee that's set up that made some recommendations to the Department of Labor last year, and I guess, Bill, in short, this is fulfilling that commitment with a little bit more on top, knowing that the cost of living is still going up. We hear that every day. We all know that, and this is a step forward to help that.
Obviously, you're not afraid of any inflationary spiral that may follow. You're not afraid that it will impact small business in some big way. These are usually the arguments against raising minimum wages. But when you look at, as you say, the cost of living today, the great number of people at the low end of the wage scale, if we can give them a boost, they in turn then have the resources, the money, to go buy those things that support small business and bring in taxation. So there's a good argument, I think, for paying people at the low end of the scale so that they can, in fact, be contributing members of society.
Yeah, no, it's fact. I did have some small business reach out, very concerned about the increase. But they too understand that they also, as business owners, need to make a profit, but also employees need to make a profit when they go get their time for wage and compensation. So I mean, there are hardships all the way around. Nobody is immune to this. The inflations that we've seen and the just the general expense that is going around worldwide right now. So nobody is immune, but at the end of the day, most people have the understanding that people do need to make a fair wage.
Well, and now speaking of you giving out some money, I mean, it's not really you, but you're mandating that minimum wage increase impacts people in the lower end of the scale, of course. You're also giving out some support in a big way in the world of agriculture, and it represents two large groups that you're supporting, and one of them is the largest group in Cumberland. I'm talking about the support that you announced for blueberry and apple growers. What's behind that?
Yeah, look, this is something that the blueberry industry, I've heard obviously loud and clear over the last number of years, programmed to assist them with their equipment and moving forward as ahead. So this was an announcement that, quite frankly, I'll be honest, is maybe a year late. But nevertheless, I've heard from some of the blueberry growers that with appreciation of thanking the government for putting this forward early enough this year that they can take part in this.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. I don't usually do that, or at least I don't intentionally do that. But one wonders, there's been talk for a long time about the blueberry industry needing a bit of a help. And along comes the help, but at the same time with apple growers. And we had not heard any kind of issues relative to apple growing, but you've got a huge constituency, of course, in the Annapolis Valley. Did the blueberry support kind of come in as, let's soften the blow a little, let's conditionally give it out as long as we give to the apple folks too?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. We heard some concerns from the apple industry over the last couple of years as well, with some concerns about the growth, and we know farming is one of the three F's that we've always talked about: farming, fishing, and forestry. That's what built Nova Scotia. And when we have important industries such as apple, and very important to the whole province, not just Cumberland County and Colchester County, but the blueberry industry, when we hear of concerns as elected officials, obviously we want to move forward to assist them in taking capability to enhance their product and transmit it worldwide, is the case with both of these products. So I don't think it was one over the other. It just happened that both of them maybe made it through the process at the same time, and the announcements were able to come out together.
Talking about the local, of course, and the blueberry situation, how does that money get used? How does somebody apply to get support?
So I believe right now it goes through the Department of Agriculture. The specifics of that application, I've never had to go through one. I've never had to assist the farmers with one. So that tells me that these programs have been out and flexible over different years. But once they apply, it's my understanding that they can assist with their harvesting equipment and doing viable upgrades to the efficiency of harvesting the product and the quality, ensuring the quality of the product that is harvested. So, as I said, I've heard from Peter Burgess, the executive director. I've heard from many blueberry farmers and in Cumberland County, and when I get to go to the Wild Blueberry Producers Association annual event day every June or July, I think it is, maybe even earlier than June. But when I get to go there, we certainly hear about the need for certain programs and what's high and top of priority of their mind each year.
Well, of course, you are in the capital of Canada, the Wild Blueberry capital of Canada.
Well, it's funny. I was actually in a briefing yesterday, totally something that was nowhere near a blueberry conversation, and the individual asked, where exactly my home residence was, and Oxford. He said the blueberry capital of the universe.
The universe.
And I sort of chuckled at it. I said, "Well, I must tell Mr. Bragg that that's being shared around in Halifax." He said, "Well, why not?" He said, "There's no other place to finding that wild blueberry is their main fruit, and Oxford's done it, and there's many blueberry growers that have enabled that to become." And we know there's not a lot of blueberries that grow in Oxford, but there's a lot of blueberries that are shipped into and out of Oxford.
It's funny you say that about the blueberry capital of the universe, because I recall when the town of Oxford adopted the saying as the wild blueberry capital of Canada. And I said, why don't you make it the world? And they kind of looked at each other, the town councillors at the time looked at each other and said, well, we think it is, but we don't know if we can prove it. In Canada, we can prove it.
No, absolutely. And I think the world knows where the mainstay of the blueberries are coming from.
There you go. Now, on another topic that was kind of dear to your heart, I'm talking about the wind farm approval for the wind farm operation that they refer to as Blueberry Acres. That's a fairly sizable farm on the Cobequid Mountain Range between, I think, Westchester and Sutherland Lake. That got approval this week as well.
Yes, the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Energy had that announcement, and it's a general facility where 3 turbines used to stand on those mountains, and this is a project that I heard from locals that they certainly supported this process, and I know any chance you can get the form of wind onto the grid system, it certainly it's cheaper, cleaner energy that fulfills the commitment that we need for our environmental goals.
Now, it's interesting you say that there wasn't much opposition to it on the local level. We were comparing, I guess you might say, 2 competing wind farms, one for the Wentworth Valley, where I think they were looking at about 17 turbines, and the people really opposed that wind farm. The interesting fact about the Blueberry Acres proposal, they originally started with 8 turbines, and then as the project walked its way through the environmental approval and public discussion, they increased it to 10. So it got bigger, not smaller, and got approved, and as you say, not much in the way of opposition. And this is going to make quite a difference in terms of the energy that's produced for the grid. But does this have anything to do with the greening the offshore winds and things like that? Will this tie in or no?
No, this is different. This project, I believe I announced the Green Choice project around 2022. And this was for industrial customers that could utilize wind projects to offset their energy costs and have renewable energies coming into their system. And a couple things that we made very clear on it. It had to be on private lands. It had to be for industrial usages. And it actually had a full commitment of bids that came in on it that very rare to see that we were able to, I think, satisfy almost every applicant that met the criteria. There was a huge application to this and a huge want for this. So it was a good project. And the other bonus is where it is on private lands, private landowners are reaping the benefit as well as local municipalities will be receiving the tax benefits for this as the projects come to fruition.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. I'd forgotten that there are no Crown lands involved at all. It's a private owner working with the consortium that actually is putting together the whole project. So in some ways it was different than the other proposal for the Wentworth Valley, but nonetheless, it's one of a number across the province. It just happens to be the only one for us to talk about in Cumberland.
Yeah, even the Wentworth Valley, Bill, it's solely on private land. It's not on land that is utilizing Crown land for the wind turbines. All the projects, they can apply to utilize Crown land roads and such, but the projects themselves are on private land, some ones in Cumberland County so far.
Well, again, thank you so much for being here. I know you had to get away early again, but better to have you for a bit than not at all. So thank you for adjusting your schedule to be here. Always important since you've been coming on week in, week out. I don't know if I could go through a week without chatting with you.
Yeah, I don't think we have, Bill, except for the week that we do take off between Christmas and New Year's. But it's always a pleasure, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity. Just a quick reminder, it's the last day of January, and Groundhog Day's on Sunday. I'm headed down to Shubenacadie Wildlife Park for 8 a.m. on Sunday to see the predictions of the groundhog.
And to be clear, I think, unless there's been a new birth in the groundhog family there, we're talking about Shubenacadie Samantha.
I don't want to break it out, but there's a question every year whether it's Sam or a Samantha. But I guess we'll have to stay tuned until Sunday morning.